So is it time for us to get into the arena of that? I mean, Arizona, we want to outlaw it. I mean, it's already outlawed, but how many people have been arrested for ballot harvesting here?
Right.
Not enough, right?
Well, they're bending. I mean, look,
They're bending the rules, aren't they?
and again, I'm not going to speak to Nevada, right? I'm going to speak to us and what we're doing here. But Arizona, we are the tip of the spear, and we keep saying that across the country
Because we still
for
are.
election integrity, and we are fighting like harder than we've ever fought before by a lot to keep eyes on every single process. And so I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in Nevada, but for example, the ballot curing process, we are obsessed with ballot curing right now. We are going to make sure that we cure every possible ballot that we can in Arizona. We're not taking any risks here. And I will tell you this, there's a good chance. I mean, this is what the Democrats do. And we can talk right now about the adjudication process and what that means. But essentially, when you have problems with a ballot, it goes to adjudication. Once it goes to adjudication, they are able to determine from that point who you intended to vote for. If there's continued problems, then they have to go to you to cure the ballot. And right now, we have an exorbitant amount of ballots going to the adjudication process, 15%. Now, I wanted to explain this on the feed tonight. Part of the reason why we have such a high adjudication rate right now is because write-ins have to go through the adjudication process more often than not. And so the write-in process, and there's a lot of issues with our judges too. We vote to retain our judges in Arizona. So oftentimes what will happen is people will double bubble.
I vote for no for all of them.
Yeah, I vote no, but sometimes
no.
people will accidentally vote yes and no, or they'll be going through it fast and they'll make a mark somewhere else on their ballot. Then that sends it to adjudication. So we have a lot of adjudication happening. We have eyes on eyes on eyes on the adjudication process in Arizona right now. I want everyone to feel extremely comfortable.
We do.
Gina Swoboda,
Good.
Gina's doing a
our
great job.
lawyers. We are demoting lawyers. We are putting in new lawyers. We're adding lawyers every single
And
day.
why would you demote a lawyer?
If they're not doing their job,
How do you
just
know they're
excellent enough.
not?
Because we have other people that are watching this process. That's what I'm saying. That's a good sign when you're like, I don't like how you're doing your job well enough. We're gonna replace you. We've
Okay.
done that multiple times.
And
throughout
how
this
would he
process.
not be doing his job?
Well, like last night, I mean, you could tell the story.
No,
but-
we won't
yeah.
get into it. But like when there's people that aren't getting after it as hard as we want them
Okay.
to, paying attention, reporting back news the way that we expect them to.
Okay.
That is going to be a problem, right? And right now we have rooms in different counties, Maricopa and Pima, where we have an expectation that our lawyers are going to do their job, that our volunteers are going to do their job.
And you feel good about that?
And I feel better than any. I'm telling you right now, it's a near perfect process that they have right now in Maricopa County.
So why is it taking so long? And what about the Penske trucks?
So the Penske trucks, to my understanding and knowledge, again, every person, we have people and eyes on every single room that's in the Maricopa County Tabulation and Election Center.
Okay.
There's nothing coming in or coming out without our eyes being on it. If there was, we'd be raising red flags. You would know about it.
Okay.
That's 100%.
So the Penske trucks are legit?
They're bringing in normal stuff that they come in and out.
Okay.
And there's lots of things that go in and out of that center, right?
Okay. Because I
Equipment-
get questions from all over the country about it.
equipment. There's equipment that comes in and out. Like you're not going to see. But the point is that you have to have bodies in every single room so that you can see if they're bringing in new ballots or there's something
Right.
weird's going on. Or we know down to stacks of paper, stacks of ballots on every countertop. We get reports to they took 10 ballots here and they took 10 ballots there. That's the level.
So you
of
feel
intricacy.
comfortable there is no cheating going on?
There's no cheating going on. We have
In the
eyes on
center.
everything. Now, is there ways for them to bend the rules or have the rules around elections play to their advantage? Yeah, the entire rule system is set up to benefit Democrats, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, including how they're reporting right now. We need laws down
Every
to govern
hour.
this because this
Right.
is
Every
because we
hour.
need
To treat it
reporting.
like a crisis, like a hurricane.
But I'm going to tell you this is like, for example, they can use the adjudication process to their what they call adjudication bias, right, to their advantage. So if there are no Republicans down there
It's
and
just
it's only
goes to the
Democrats,
Democrat. Yeah.
they could throw out your ballots if they wanted to
Yes.
through the adjudication process. That's not happening right now because we have a full staff down there with lawyers down there watching the entire adjudication process as it goes on
Which
camera.
we did not have 2 years
Which
ago.
we did not have 2 years ago. We did not have 4 years ago. I'll give you another example. I mean, the adjudication process in general, right? Going to get those ballots cured, meaning getting the corrections made to those ballots. If you don't have volunteers for that, then you just lose hundreds, if not thousands, of ballots that way too. And I don't know if this happened in Nevada. I don't know if it is happening. My understanding is that they're doing a good job on the curing process. But Charlie, you brought this up. Republicans have just not been as good at putting eyes on things and curing ballots. And now we're in that business.
I don't think we have any organization in most states on ballot curing at all. Like none. It's just for years we were able to win elections in these states, especially, I mean, it used to be Nevada, not anymore, just by existing. It's
Yeah.
kind of like Oklahoma. You just kind of show up and like you win and that's it. Okay. That's
and
kind
you
of
don't ask questions.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, huh,
Well, in the
guy
days
down
of-
there is great.
Of Helen Purcell, we could trust it.
Yeah, Helen Purcell, nice little grandma down there. She's baking cookies and counting votes. And now we've got Stephen Richer, who is not, right? Who is continuing at minimum the bad policies of Adrian Fontes.
Yep.
Yeah.
At maximum, he's part of that whole cabal, right?
Okay, so walk me through if Adrian Fontes becomes Secretary of State, how we're going to fence him off and keep him from doing harm.
Abe Hamadeh is the solution to that.
Right.
That is exactly right.
He'll prosecute, but how do we
He's got to sue him like
prevent?
every day.
The serum, the serum to the media is Carrie Lake. The serum to a bad county recorder or a bad Secretary of State is a great AG and Abe Hamadeh.
Yeah.
And Abe and Carrie together and the
Yes.
state legislature. That's why we had Warren Peterson on.
Right.
I was gonna say,
I mean,
and
the
the legislature.
trifecta has nothing to do with the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is like, it's a rubber stamp procedure. Now, they can do a lot of damage unchecked, right? If you leave them unchecked, but checked with a Carrie Lake, with a Abe Hamadeh, with a Warren Peterson.
And we got to fix the counties, though, because they are the ones who execute the elections.
That's right.
Well, and then again, we can dive into that, but that's why we talked about breaking up the county. That's why
Right.
Maricopa
And
County.
making sure you have a competent elections director at each single county one.
Yes.
It's a bunch of different pieces.
Right.
That's completely accurate.
Yep.
So going back on the adjudication process, we have a high percentage of them happening. The reason why they're happening, they believe, is due to a number of write-ins, a lot of write-ins, and a lot of judges issues. We are getting a list to make sure that they're not.
Gina Swoboda has said.
Gina Swoboda is getting a list as we speak of making sure that those aren't specifically targeting Republicans and Republican areas. We don't believe they are. But it is important to note that as those get adjudicated and figured out and cured, if they're Democrat ballots, they come in and that adds to Democrat numbers, right? If they're Republican, then it comes back and adds to Republican numbers.
Yeah.
So if, that's where it's like, yeah, we don't really want our ballots to get adjudicated. We just like them right off the top. But, the ones that are out there, and they're saying it could be upwards of 90,000. That's
But that
huge
number goes down over a period of time.
Yeah,
right?
and it already has gone down because they're
The question is who makes that call of what's adjudicated and what isn't, right?
well, again, if it has a mark on it, if it's a messed up ballot, if it's crinkled, it didn't get read right, then that's what ends up getting adjudicated.
Now, what about all these stories that we've heard about them, people trying to put their ballot in, it would be rejected, and then these stories of the ballot going to drawer box 3, but still somehow showing that it did get tabulated.
Well, that's a great question, Wendy. So a big question has been, what is going on with this drawer 3, box 3 scenario?
Right.
The drawer 3, box 3 scenario, a lot of ballots that would not read in the machine. And we talked about this. My ballot didn't read in the machine. So I went down, spoiled my mail-in ballot because I don't trust that somebody else has my ballot out there and I don't want them to vote on my behalf. So I hang on to my mail-in ballot until the day of the election. I used to go drop it off. I've now been educated and
I did exactly what you did.
2020 because that's what we used to
the
do.
amount
That's
of
what
judges are just insane.
And so I went down there and I did this and I spent a half hour filling out all my bubbles because it takes about that long to fill out every single bubble. And then I got to the machine and I noticed before I did it, though, it had a little blotchy printing on it. I was like, oh, that's probably okay. Stephen Richards told me that they have a perfect process, right? So Bill Gates told me that their printers are perfect. And I went in, I scanned it, and it would not scan. And you know what I had to do? They're like, do you want to just put it in drawer 3? I was like, do not put it in drawer 3.
Box 3 or what? Yeah,
Yeah, do not put it in box 3. I was
Do
like,
they really call it that too? It's like they've been like educated on what that is.
they're like, we don't know what box 3 is,
Yeah.
but put it in box 3.
I'm like, when I
I'm not-
showed up to mine, I was like, what is box 3? I was like, what are you guys talking about?
do
we
not
don't
send
do
my
this
ballot into
stuff.
Alice in Wonderland world. You know, that's not what I was like, print me a new ballot. And so they printed me a ballot. And the lady that's running there is a sweet Republican. So that's a poll judge. And so she printed it and on the better printer, and then that one scanned. But
You had to fill it all out again?
I had to do it all over again. So I was there for like an hour.
So
What a
in
disaster.
Coconino,
This is why we had long lines, Wendy.
in Coconino and Flagstaff, we just filled it out and put it in a box. There was no machine.
Are you serious?
Serious.
What does the Coconino recorder say about that?
It didn't come up. It was,
Well, I hope everyone's ballots are being counted.
yeah. And
So,
and Hal said, "Wow, we just have to trust them." And I said, "Yeah." There was no machine.
Crazy.
everybody email us your thoughts, freedom@charliekirk.com. Man, this House majority is slim, Austin.